guys, this is Latinos in Real Estate Investing podcast here again, and I'm with my friend. And this guy here is my man. I've known Lenny now for 3-4 years now. We met at an event in LA.
Yes, sir.
And his name is Leonard the Boss Nesmith. Lenny is a real estate investor with multiple doors, manages and owns, and the CEO of Journey to Success in Real Estate Investing, a mentor to future successful real estate investors, if I may add. As a creator of the group, he has a goal in mind, which is to help as many people as possible see how real estate can help provide an additional cash flow they desire to live their desired life. Many of you listeners out there probably have jobs. I know many of you do. Many of you have regular jobs. And this is Lenny's second time. Lenny actually came on this podcast when we were in the beginning infant stages. I think, Lenny, you was maybe, I don't know, number 3 or something, interview number 3. I think this is like 160 now. So Lenny was one of our very, very first guests, and I have him back. He's freaking awesome. He's a friend. He's a rock star. He's doing some amazing things. He's got an amazing story. This is a 9-to-5 guy that did real estate. He believes in mindset, believes in a lot. We got a lot of similar values. Actually, interesting story. Lenny and I met in LA. So we're only about an hour and a half away from each other, and we met in LA at an event. I'm not going to mention the event, but we were at a real estate investors event, multifamily real estate investing event. And we sat down on a break, we had lunch, and we just became friends right from there. So my brother, welcome, man. Thank you for being here again today. I want us to talk about your Airbnb stuff. Ton of questions. I'm not an Airbnb guy. You are. That's one of the things that you do. And my brother, welcome, man. Thank you for being here.
Man, listen, thank you. Man, that grand opening right there was beyond immaculate. I appreciate it. It's funny. We met in LA, right? Totally on the West Coast. And we both lived about 2 hours away from each other on the East Coast, and just the synergy there. And it's just all about, that networking, that mindset, and when you are doing it yourself and you're seeking that, you attract those individuals around you.
That's right, man. That's right, man. And that's the thing I always mention on this podcast, Lenny. And you've been a speaker at my meetups too. So, Lenny and I are friends, man. We do a lot of stuff together. We're planning an event, an Airbnb event, where actually I'm going to go. We're going to have it here in my backyard, but I'm going to be there as a student. I'm going to go and learn from my man here. I learn about Airbnb. And so I'm excited about that, my friend.
I come from humble beginnings, man. I come from a family of 10. Okay, my mother had 10 kids in North Philadelphia. So if anyone knows anything about Philly, North Philadelphia is probably not the best place in Philly to be, right? But hey, I was the 10th kid, grew up, my mother, she was a single parent, so we only had one income coming in the house, potentially welfare at times, till my mother got, a job. And, I just always wanted something better than what the streets were providing, so, went to school, went to college, and I got a job, right? And when I got this job, I was thinking nothing of it, but it became my career, so it became corporate, kind of fast forward that story just a little bit. I worked there for over 22 years, corporate job. I was the vice president of operations there, managed well over $1 billion in AR, responsible for bringing in over $250 million in revenue annually, and managed over 200 people, at the job. And, while I was there, I just always thought, hey, I need more revenue, right? On top of, I was making decent money, so I needed some tax breaks as well, and obviously real estate is what, drove that. And early on, honestly speaking, I was dibbling and dabbling, not really taking it serious, because just like a lot of people, Martin, we got this W-2 job, is paying us well,
Yep.
right? There's no reason to take all your energy and focus it, over there. But I'm happy that I did. And what I'm happy about is I made a goal. Now, in hindsight, Martin, honestly speaking, that goal was a small goal, but I had one. All right. And that goal was to buy one property a year. That's it. So, when I came to that time, I start buying one property a year. And it was the best thing in the world for me, because my job, after giving the job 22 years of my life, right? They cut me, laid me
Mm.
off,
The
called me in
big
the morning,
one of the
John.
big guys. I mean, guys, this is a VP of operations running is it $250 million in AR a year.
No, in
Uh,
revenue, we were
and
bringing in.
revenue, yeah, man, like
Yeah,
that's and they cut you. They cut you. No,
cut me.
not a lot of loyalty there. Let me ask you a question. What led you to decide while you was doing the job to think of, hey, I want to buy one property a year? Why? Why did you want to do that when you were comfortable?
There was a few reasons why. One reason is the cast that you have around you. All right. I had a couple friends where, I tell the story really quickly. This one guy, he was in real estate way before me, him and his wife. And they were buy properties, but he's my friend. So I was the dumping grounds for all of his complaints. So he told me all the terrible stories about real estate, the tenants, the contractors, everything bad. So I never really was interested. But I noticed he kept buying more. So I'm saying to myself, this is interesting. You complain about this all the time, right? But you buying more. So I one day sat him down. I also saw, him and his wife, they didn't have any high powered jobs, but they started to escalate in life. They moved away. They start driving better vehicles, taking better vacations, and I'm like, dude, why are you buying these properties? And you keep complaining. And he kind of gave me the game. He said he actually apologized to me. He said, I'm sorry. He said, but you're my friend. I had to dump all of my problems.
All-
So I was that guy, but I wasn't at one time smart enough to decipher through that. But finally, God must have popped me in my head and gave me some smarts and said, ask this guy this question. And I did. And, he told me that driving the better cars, the not working any overtime at the job, the going on better vacations, the having more money to invest was all through real estate. And, so that was one of the reasons what really got me involved. Another thing too was I'm talking to my accountant, right? And obviously I'm in the highest tax bracket that you can be in. And I needed some reasons on write-offs, right? To sit there and lower me from paying taxes. That was another reason. Then too, when you first get a property, you got an idea of what it's like, right? But when you get into it and it actually work, you say, shit, this is awesome. And when you actually see the tax advantages that you take advantage of, when you actually see them, I'm not talking about on Martin, you and I talking and you telling me, Len, you buying this property, this is what's going to do for you. I'm talking about being at the table with your accountant and it got actual numbers and they're actually doing the deductions and saying,
Mm,
this is what you look like without this, and this is what you
mm,
look like
with
with
it.
this.
Mm.
And I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, well, if I get another one, what happens? If I get another one, what
Mhm.
happens? If I get so honestly speaking, Martin, I never was thinking that I was going to leave my job. And that's why I want to make sure the listeners know how important, regardless how small your goal is to have one, is because that day came. My COO called me. I never forget. I was running. I do like 3 to 6 miles of running in the morning and jumped on the phone with her. And she was like, Lenny, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And let me tell you what I did, Martin. I hung up the phone. It was 8:30 a.m. Sitting right here where I'm talking to you at. I put my head back just like this, right? For the listeners that just watching this. And I said to myself, shit, I got to go out and get health insurance. So check this out. Check this out, right? I just lost my job making the really hundreds of thousands of dollars in income. And that's what I said. Well, the reason I said that is because I built up a portfolio that allowed me to continue to pay all my bills, continue to sit there and take vacations. Just to let you know, man, I I went on 3 vacations right after that. I went to Puerto Rico, I went to Miami, I went to the Bahamas, like in a 3 to 4 month period right after that, because I had the money. These were already planned things we wanted to do in 2022. And I told my wife, we're good. Like our bills are going to be paid, car notes going to be paid, all the mortgages that we have, all are paid, all the expenses that comes with owning all these properties in our personal homes paid, and we got some left over to sit there and make sure my son sees no difference in his life, because that's my big why. I never want my son to see a difference. I only want him to see escalate up.
Your wife supporting you in this journey, because I know, we both know, and you and I have had conversations in the past around this, where my point is that there are times that you woke up at 6 o'clock, went to your regular job. After that, you had some shit to deal with, and you went to deal with that. Then you went to Home Depot, deal with that. Then you came back, deal with that, and you got home at 11, 12 o'clock at night. Tell me about those nights when you were building that with the job and going through that. What kept you going? How important was your wife's support?
Dude, very important. Listen to all the things you just named. Everything you just named has zero to do with your wife, right? And I always sit here and say, look, when I come home through my door, I take my hat off, I take my disguise off, I take my mask off, right? I am the most realest individual here, right? With my wife, with my son. And the one word I will always put in front of everything is trust. Okay. And this goes back and forth, as in husband should trust their wife, right? And wife should trust their husband. But that's built. That's not given, man. So you got to have, and you have to put in a track record. Listen, everything ain't going to work out. But if you're a person that sit here and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and you actually go about doing it, even if it don't work out, that's trust building, because you gave it all your effort. It just so happens that that thing wasn't it, but if you're an individual that sit here and say, this is what I want to do, and you half-ass it, and then you say, oh, you know what? This thing I want to do, same thing. This thing I want to do, same thing. Then you get around to real estate, the trust factor is not going to be there. The support is not going to be there. So I always tell everybody is this, right? You have to be accountable for yourself. But everybody's watching. And in this case, if you're married, people are depending on you. Look, my wife had to be home with my son or my daughter, during the times, or picking them up from school when I had to go to work. And like you said, when there was an issue, I had to go handle the issue. Or when early on in the process, right, I wasn't familiar with, using other people's money and, hiring out all these people. I hired some people. I did some work myself, right? So I was away from the house. Well, guess what? Your wife can be thinking anything.
Yes, you can.
Right? I'm coming in home 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, right? The beauty thing is that I was probably coming home looking dirty as all hell. So she said, ain't no way in the world you out there with a woman. Right? That's not happening. Right? But all seriousness, it's the trust thing, Martin. You got to sit here and establish a track record of when I say, hey, this is it, you give it your all, you give it your best, and they see that and they support that, and vice versa. So I would sit there and say trust, and that what made things, I don't like to use the word easy, but that what made things a little easier for me is that I didn't have to worry about my home. I didn't have to worry about, is my son or my daughter going to eat? Shit, I didn't even have to worry about if I was going to eat. I came home, my meal was there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a lot of things that I didn't have to worry about, which allowed me to use my brain power on the important things of resolving, putting in systems in place, communicating, networking, which when you do all these things, all that do, Martin, buy you more time. When you automate something or you put a process in place for something, guess what? You get that time back.
That's right.
And then you can use that time and split it. Say, I'm going to take 50% of this time to continue to work on my business. And I'm going to take this other 50% of the time and give it back to those that supported me and sacrificing just like I am. So I do things like pop-up lunches with my wife. We just pop up get some lunch, or like today, we all going out 1 o'clock today or 1:15, whatever time this movie start, to go watch a movie, and I would never have that time
Tell me
to
you're gonna
give.
go. Tell me you're gonna go watch Avatar. I went on Christmas Day to watch Avatar.
No, we're not going to Avatar. My son want to go watch Puss in Boots, man. So
Okay. You guys got to check out Avatar. It's an amazing movie. I'm not that.
Okay.
It is a really good movie. Your son is gonna. You guys are gonna like it. It's a long ass movie, but you guys are gonna like it. I watched it on. Then did the same thing. Took the family to Fork and Dine on Christmas Day. I was like, guys, let's go. Why did you get started? And you're doing it long distance. Why did you get started in Airbnb?
The great thing about real estate is you never end up where you start. All
Mhm.
right. And when you get into this real estate game, it is so beautiful. It just make you want more, want more. Martin, you know what I'm talking. That's why you
Yeah.
smile over there. Exactly what I'm talking
Yep.
about. So, hey, I met Martin over there in LA at a multifamily event because that's where I believe that I was headed, trying to go buy multifamily buildings. And I met some other people, network with them. That's why networking is important. And networking ROI sometimes don't pay immediately. Sometimes it pays off years down the line, and I'm
Hmm.
gonna explain why. So I met a couple other guys where I met up with them once a month virtually. They live in California. I live over here in PA, and we met once a month. One of the guys decided to pivot and invest in short-term rentals. Now, truth be told is I never had a vision on that. He came back month after month, so excited. Oh my God, dude, you won't imagine how much money I made. And
Hmm.
I'm like, all right, cool. 1 month, everybody, summertime or whatever. Great. October comes around. Dude, oh my God, I made this much money. And I'm like, is that profit? Yeah. I'm like, off of one single family home? Yeah. Bullshit. I'm like, whatever. You know the deal.
Hmm.
November comes. Dude, December comes. Dude, I'm just like, you know what? I'm flying. I flew back to California because I just through the internet couldn't do it. Flew back to California. He introduced me to everything. He introduced me to his realtors, his cleaners, his finance folks, everybody. And I was like, oh, this is real. The properties. He showed me the numbers. I'm like, oh, wow, this is pretty darn interesting. So that is what opened me up to short-term rentals. And so then it allowed me to, diversify obviously my portfolio, which is something that you always want to do, and the profits that potentially can come from your investments, it's great. Do you mind, Martin, if I share one of my deals?
Yeah,
Like,
my brother, go, man. Of
okay,
course.
cool. All right, so I had got a cabin built out in Tennessee from the ground up. A big one. I went 5 bedroom, 5 bathroom cabin, right? Gorgeous cabin, okay. And I'm gonna spare the details just for sake of time, but the purchase price on that puppy was about 640 to 650, maybe I think it was like 647 to be exact, 647,000, right? Now, the cool thing about this is, this also came furnished. So, I didn't have to worry about, buying beds. I didn't have to worry about buying living room sets, dining room sets, anything like that. Came completely furnished, right? And what I did was, this was a vacation market. So with that being said, I took advantage of something called the vacation loan, which allowed me to put 10% down. Okay. And I also decided to partner up, because of the price point and because of the things that need to happen, and I had someone that we've been talking about working with each other. So this gave us that opportunity. So I strongly suggest partners, just throwing that out there. So, put 10% down, and obviously you had some closing costs. So it came out of my pocket about I don't know, about 80, a little over $80,000, right? So when you're first starting up, a few things that you want to do, and I'm going to kind of back this story up a little bit. So when you're looking for a property, I always sit there and say, yeah, because that's a question I get a lot. Where should I invest? Right? I always sit there and say, where do you like to vacation? Start there, right? Because when I look at short-term rentals personally, I try to say, I want multi-use out of it. I want to make money, and then I want to use it. right? I want to sit here and take, my family, my friends, have business meetings there, masterminds there, as well as make money from it. So that's where I first look. Okay. Is I always look at where I like to vacation. The second thing, obviously, you want to make sure that you use some of these softwares like AirDNA, Mass Visor, to sit there and make sure that this market is going to be profitable. Okay, and I think one of the things that is undervalued, and I admire you by, is networking. I really admire your networking, Martin, because you called me up and said, "Lynn, I need your brother. Come educate me." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like that. Like, and I admire that because that's what people need to do in this market as well. Because sometimes the Air DNAs and the Match Visors and all these other websites, it gets you there, but not the
Mhm.
ingredients, right? But if you know people that actually have property in that market, then they can give you the skinny on what's real and what they did. So that is a real factual number off of something that and it gives you that much more confidence to invest there. All right. Some of the applications I use, which one of them is great for price, optimizing your pricing, is an application called Price Labs. Okay. 100% you need it. Don't think about it. Get it. Right. Because what it does is so many different things. One, it helps you establish a price of what you should be pricing your property at, every night, right? And it optimize your pricing all through the day on demand. So let me give you an example. If there's a big concert that's coming into town that's special, right? It will automatically up your rates for that weekend, right? Because they know that this is a huge demand. Also, Price Labs is connected to so many other Airbnb properties that it knows when they're booked versus not. So if there's a limited amount of available houses, your prices go up while you're sleeping. Your
Mm.
prices go up while you're on a podcast listening to Martin and I. Your prices go up while you eating with your wife or your husband. You know, all these things happen, and obviously they got so many different reports and if statements and all these things you can do in there. But for a newbie just getting started, Price Labs is where it's at, and it will make sure that the price that is being charged on Monday is not the price that's being charged on Friday or Saturday. Another thing too, Martin, if you're going to get into Airbnb, the first thing you're going to want to know is you need boots on the ground. You're not going to be the one that's going to be cleaning the place. You're not going to be the one that's going to be making sure that you maintenance the place, right? Making sure that if chairs are loose, light bulbs are out, batteries need to be replaced, you're not going to be the one doing all that. So before you invest in that market, you want to make sure that 100% there's a bunch of cleaners and a bunch of handymen and maintenance men there. All right. Because I'm telling you, if it's not, my suggestion would be to probably not invest there.
Mm.
Because, dude, if we're in PA, my properties are in Myrtle Beach, my properties are in Tennessee. I am not getting into my car, driving to Tennessee or
Mm.
driving to Myrtle Beach.
Can't do it.
Therefore, I need someone to go into that property and tell me, because you got guests, you know the deal. When guests come in, they just come, they have a good time, they break things, and they leave. But you need someone to sit here and tell you this is broke, or this needs to be fixed, or there's a light bulb out, or the door handle's loose, I'm going to tighten it up, or the chairs are loose, I'm going to tighten it up. The door's not closing and staying locked. I mean, all these things, right? The dishwasher. And then I think the next thing is regulations. You want to look into the regulations because you want to make sure that one, you can Airbnb the property. Okay. And with that, I would sit there and suggest that you go into a market with some regulations versus a market that has none. Because if the market has none, that means that eventually
It's
they're
coming.
going to have some, and potentially it can impact you.
Hmm.
So,
That's
but
good advice.
if they came already, then you feel comfortable that they're probably pretty solid there, especially if you see a whole bunch of other Airbnb host that's there as well. And then, last but not least, automation station, baby. You know the deal. Automate, 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 right? You got to sit here because you don't want to be the one to check in guests. You don't want to be the one to be sending messages back and forth to guests, right? You don't want to be the one to send key codes to guests. None of that. You want to be able to automate that. And there's so many tools. We use a tool called Guesty that everything integrates into Airbnb, VBRO. We buy Wi-Fi locks where that integrates into Guesty. So, and then you can also automate messages that go out at certain times for your guests once they book. And all that is integrated to Guesty. And once a person booked, they get their key code, they get the address, they get any automations that, you send, any pre-messages you want to send, about any and everything about, your property. So all that things are going on while you're sitting here listening to Martin and I on the podcast.
Right.
So, those are my lessons. My lessons is if you're going to be in this hospitality industry, because it's different from long-term rentals, you got to be more hospitable, right? Then you got to be able to swallow when someone do something to your property that you don't like, get it resolved, and move on to get your next guest so you can keep the cash flow moving. So those are the lessons that I learned with that.
My brother, I am so grateful for you for taking the time to share. We're coming to an end here. You and I are hosting an event where I'm actually going to be more of a student at this event. Lenny said that I called him, and you guys know I own a lot of doors. I teach a lot, and I teach a lot of stuff. I host this podcast, but there's always more to learn. The importance of networking. I picked up the phone, and the reason I called Lenny, I'm going to share this with the listeners, because I always talk about this, having multiple strategies. I have 2 flips currently on the market. The market is slowing down. We haven't had many showings on those 2 flips I have on the market. And I am thinking about my multiple exit strategies. You should always have multiple exit strategies when you're flipping, because the market can flip on you at any time, just like it did in 2022. So I'm thinking, and I'm like, hey, what's my move? What's my next move? What's my best return? I bought these at a great deal. I have great properties in great locations. They could be Airbnb. That's why I bought them, because I'm looking for that Airbnb investor that wants to come and invest in the Poconos. But I know nothing about Airbnb. Guess who does? My friend Lenny does. So I said, hey, Lenny, can I take you to lunch, my brother? I need you to show me. And Lenny was so gracious with his time. He spent an hour with me on the phone one day, and then we went to lunch, and he spent another few hours with me, and he just gave it to me. And here he is, and I want him to give it to you. And then I was like, you know what? This is such powerful information, Lenny, that we need to have you come to the Poconos and host a day where you're teaching this to some investors. We're in the Pocono, and if you're in New York or wherever you are, Lenny and I will be hosting a one-day event. These men's got so much information, so much data, so many tools, so many things he has for automations. He's got this thing down to a science. We're going to be doing that on, what's the date, Lenny? The last day in February, the last Saturday in February. The last Saturday in February of 2023 at the Vision Church in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. We're going to be putting out but it's going to be in the show notes. The meetup link is going to be in the show notes, and it's going to be free. So Lenny is going to host this. He's going to come out. Skill Property Finders, my company, is going to sponsor the event. We'll pay for the space, and Lenny is so gracious. He's going to just share all this information.
I did something special, right? Because I don't want people to miss this opportunity. Mm-hmm. Right. So I want everybody to go to, because you want to make sure you don't miss this opportunity. So to keep you updated, go to lennytheboss.com. That's LENNYTHBOSS.com/Martin. Okay. lennytheboss.com/Martin. Go there. Okay. And just register for your spot. All right. And you're going to make sure we're going to give you updates on when it's going to happen so you don't miss it. So make sure you go to lennytheboss.com/Martin.
And what we're going to do, Lenny, is I'm going to ask you a series of questions. You don't need to think. You don't need to explain yourself. You just need to, whatever comes to mind first. All right. So here we go. Let's do it. Okay. I always wanted to go to
the beach.
Money is
a tool.
Real estate is
everything.
My biggest pet peeve is
Loving too much.
Blank matters to me the most.
Family.
Mondays are
The best.
family or business.
Family.
Self-care or self-love.
Self-love.
Wine or beer.
Wine.
Skill or popularity.
Skill.
No company or bad company.
Bad company.
Free travel for 1 year or free lodging for 5 years.
Free logging for 5 years.
Success or happiness.
Happiness.
Last one, book smart or street smart.
Street smart.
All day long, baby. All day long. Let's give Lenny a hand for being such a sport, my brother. Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you being such a great guest and sharing all of your knowledge and information. And again, make sure you check out lennytheboss.com/Martin. It's going to be in the show notes. Lenny will be hosting an event here in the Poconos. He will be the speaker. I'm just going to provide the space. I'm going to sit there with you and learn from Lenny. Lenny's going to be here. So that's going to be an exciting time. Make sure you go and you look up the information and get your spot. Reserve your spot now because it's going to go quick, right? Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. And I appreciate you, my brother, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, man. This was awesome. Definitely appreciate you.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this video to the very end. If you want to continue to watch videos like this one, click this video right here. I think you would enjoy that. And if you want to continue to learn from me and learn how to create wealth through real estate investing, check out my online course. It's in the links below. It's how to get your first off-market deal in under 60 days or less. Thanks again for watching. Really appreciate you guys. Peace out.